up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Trust Your Board podcast. My name is Stephen Wright, joined by Mr. William Monroe. Will, how you doing?
Steve, doing well over here. How are you?
Pretty good. Recovering. Your average listener will notice we didn't have an episode last week, and that wasn't because I extended my vacation. It is because I got COVID while on vacation.
Don't let them lie to you guys.
Yeah, if only. Yeah, I got COVID while we were there and was probably just not in good enough shape to record. I mean, we might have gotten through it maybe, but we would have had to hit a perfect window. So
yeah, just
decided not to. But we're back this week with another mock. Got a 10-teamer here, Will. This is following, you said your team, you're one of the formats for your leagues, right?
Yeah, one of my main leagues here. We're 10-team, a little bit deeper roster, so an extra starting receiver, as well as an extra bench spot. So it should be right around the same amount of total picks that we have here. Probably less of the single positions and more of the multiple positions there, like your receivers and running backs.
I always enjoy 10-team league because I always like looking at my team when I'm done.
The team looks a little bit nicer to start, that's for sure.
Yeah. But it'll be fun to see the bottom half, the bench side of things, given, like you said, we got 3 wide receivers, we got an extra bench spot, so it's a little bit deeper. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the benches look like.
Yeah, definitely a little bit deeper there. So it's always an interesting exercise, and I think 12 teams is probably the most popular, but there's a fair amount of 10 teams out there, so I think it'd be helpful for some of the listeners that are in 10-team leagues.
If memory serves, I think our 14-team mocks last year were some of our most popular episodes. So I don't know if they're just nobody does 14 teams league, so they gravitated to what they get, or if there's a fair bit of them out there, I guess. But
yeah, it could be that someone's searching for 14 teamers and they're typing that into their search bar for their podcast. Might be one of the few that are doing them, so maybe we'll have to pull one of those up for next week.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm thinking like the fantasy footballers mocks in general. I think they almost always do 12. I
think 12 is pretty exclusive for them.
Yeah, I don't know if they even do 10. I mean, I'm sure they have.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've definitely never done a 14, I don't think. And that'd be the most popular one. So it's interesting.
Yeah, you'd think. Definitely interesting.
But yeah, with that in mind, are you ready to get started?
Yeah, I don't think there's really been much news, even though it's been a few weeks. Still waiting to hear about Baker Mayfield possibly getting traded and Deshaun Watson possibly getting suspended. But really, other than that, we're in kind of the doldrums here of the off season. We are officially in the last month until March of 2023 without an NFL football game now, so that's exciting.
Yes, yeah, that'll be good. I did see some Baker news today. Rappaport said that the Seahawks aren't in on him.
Yeah, and who knows if this is just wordplay to, get the price lowered a little bit for them, or if it truly means they're out and it's Carolina or bust.
Yeah, who knows? It's very hard to tell. What was it? I think it was last week. It was Seattle and them are close. There's like a third team that had suddenly emerged, which I don't know who that would be. Unless it's like the Browns have emerged.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we're just going to keep it.
Yeah, we've emerged as a front runner to keep this player.
Yeah, and now, the Seattle news. So who knows? Hopefully it gets sorted out sooner or later.
Yeah, you'd imagine it will. I can't really see there being too many other teams that he had to have a real shot at starting at. Atlanta made sense earlier on, but getting Mariota and the rookie Ritter, seems like they're pretty locked in on those two. There's really not too many other opportunities for him to, have an inside track, let's say, at starting.
Yeah, it's kind of few, like Texans come to mind, but they're pretty locked on Davis Mills.
Yeah, I think they really want to see what they have with him, and then
Giants maybe
move on. Yeah, but it seems like they're kind of the same way. Like, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are a lot of teams with multiple first-round picks coming up that have a quarterback that they want to really see if he's the guy. And if he's not, then they can pivot. And you see Houston like that. You see the Giants. We even talked about the Eagles like that. Where they want to give him this year, and if he's not the guy, you've got the assets to move up, and what amounts to be a deeper quarterback class as we're expecting.
Yeah, I had briefly thought Tampa as an interesting option. We'd have to
Yeah,
basically get him and then sit him for a year.
yeah, and they have Gabbert, who I think they like as their backup now, and then they'll have Trask, as I guess is the future. So they have some options there, but I guess if you want to get him to just be in the locker room with Brady for a year, that's got to help just his overall development and readiness as a player. And he would probably be one of the most valuable backups in the league, but you'd be paying him a good chunk of money for being a backup.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we'll find out one day. You ready to go ahead and get going?
Yeah, that's mock time. So we'll be drafting. Steve, you'll be out of the 6 spot. I'll be out of the 9 spot here. Once again, a 10-team PPR mock draft. So we'll get started here. Jonathan Taylor, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson off the board there for you.
Wow, yeah, McCaffrey making it all the way to 4.
Yeah.
That is interesting. I think, so I was going to say, the last mock we did, I think I went quarterback early and went Cooper Kupp, and I was going to pivot away from that. But given this is a 3 wide receiver league, it does put a little bit more pressure on the wide receiver position. Now, it's only 10 teams, so it will be easier to fill. But I think I will use that as justification for getting Cooper Kupp again. I should be able to get a solid running back in the second round, given it's only, a 10-teamer. So yeah, let's start with Kupp. Not really considering anyone else. If I were to go running back, I guess it would be Dalvin.
Mm-hmm.
Najee's interesting. Mixon's interesting. After that, it's probably too much of a drop off for me. But I'll get Cooper Kupp here. Maybe JohndreAI Swift makes it back to me. I don't know, something like that. So, or maybe Kelsey. That would be a tough one to stare down. But yeah, I'll start wide receiver here. We could start 3. I mean, really 5 when you include all the flex spots.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to start at least 3. So we're going to lock in a Cooper Kupp there. See what gets back to me. 2 more running backs go, Najee and Dalvin Cook. That would have been nice for Dalvin to make it back to you. But alas, no, you were on the clock, my friend.
Yeah, so it gets to me here. We've got top receivers here with Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb. I still have all the tight ends available there in Kelsey. And then running backs, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara. This would be interesting here, going receiver heavy and seeing what happens. But I think in this situation, Joe Mixon's still there. He's a guy I think, as I mentioned before, I think is going to rise up some boards as we get closer to draft day. So I think I'm going to lock him in here just because I like the receivers and tight end that's there. Any combination of Chase, Adams, and Kelsey would be nice as my second spot here. So we'll get a running back here to start, and Joe Mixon. After him, Travis Kelsey and Stephon Diggs. So we've got DeAndre Swift still there, Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara. Receivers, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb. Now this is where it gets interesting because I think I do like Chase as like the top guy here. But having Joe Mixon already, do like to differentiate if possible. I know those are probably two of the best, running back receiver stack that you can have in the league. But I'll pivot here, and I think Adams is pretty close to Chase. So just getting the diversity there is helpful. So I'm going to go with Devontae Adams here. After Adams, Jamar Chase, and Josh Allen.
Oh boy, I was sweating there a little bit.
Yeah.
I am glad. So Swift is here. Swift will be my pick. That's easy. I'm happy with him as my first RB. If he wasn't here, I'd probably be going Chubb. I'm somewhat worried about Chubb given, the Watson news, the unknown of the quarterback position, the relative weakness at the wide receiver outside of like Amari Cooper. So it seems like a prime position where defense is just really focused in on him. And he's good enough to overcome. It just kind of concerns me. I'm not sure the touchdowns are going to come. So I don't know. I would have pulled the trigger on him. It's worrisome. Kamara staring down the suspension. And then, after that, Saquon, always got your injury concerns. The rest are kind of reaches. I probably would have just reached for somebody, but it's a little iffy. Luckily, I don't have to make that decision. So we're going to lock in Swift here. We'll see what gets back to me. I'm glad to have, one of each, the wide receiver and the running back, gives me some flexibility. CeeDee Lamb goes off the board right after me with the 206, and then Chubb, Kamara, Aaron Jones, and Mark Andrews there to round out the second round. Tyreek starts the third. Saquon, Debo, Keenan Allen, and Javonte Williams. What a shame. That would have been real nice to come back my way. So looking at the running back position, we got Fournette, Zeke, James Conner, Cam Akers, David Montgomery. At wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf. Tight end, we still got Pitts, Kittle, Waller. We got all our quarterbacks outside of Josh Allen. So this is tough. I think it feels weird to say because I don't say it, but I feel like I like enough of the running backs where I could just punt it till the next round. Fournette, Zeke, Connor, Montgomery, Gibson, Akers to a degree. I'm happy with all of them. Dobbins, I'm fine with all of them. So I feel like I'm just going to take my pick of the litter at wide receiver. And then let a running back fall to me. Because looking at wide receiver, A.J. Brown, I'm kind of back and forth on. Mike Evans, I really like. And spoiler, he will be the pick here. T. Higgins, I like. Deontay Johnson, I like. Not as much as the other two. Terry McLaurin's in that same boat. DK Metcalf, I have no idea what to make of. And Waddle's kind of the same. So I'm so happy with a lot of options, but not as many as the running back options, which is just weird to say. And come mid-season, these running backs will just be a mess, I'm sure. Connor will prove himself to be a one-year wonder. Zeke will be hurt, and it'll be a mess. But for now, I'm happy with the running backs. So I'm going to lock in Mike Evans, the sole target for Tom Brady. Mike Evans and Russell Gage will be solid guys to start the year. So I'm going to lock him in. I'm happy with him being my wide receiver 2. Would have been happy with him as my 1. So quite pleased there. We'll lock him in. Teammate Leonard Fournette goes off the board right after that. Patrick Mahomes goes off. I'm sure that is music to your ears. I'm sure you weren't looking his way, so somebody has fallen to you.
Yeah. So Mahomes was hoping would fall just because, would go because Fournette and Ziggy Elliott were my kind of targets here. Getting one of the two of them would have been really helpful. So with Zeke still here, it's pretty easy. Kyle Pitts would likely be the pick, but just kind of looking behind. Team behind me has tight end already, so I'll risk them going with the second tight end. But I think, between him, AJ Brown, there's still quite a few receivers, so it is a bit of a drop off after that, just value wise. But yeah, as you mentioned, there's some good running backs still. David Montgomery, solid. Breece Hall, Jacobs. But I think Zeke is one of the few here that really has like top 5 upside. I know the league is very split on him. It goes many different ways. But in this scenario, I think getting him as my third player, pairing him with Mixon, my second running back, and going to be able to get either a top level second receiver or Kyle Pitts at tight end. Good start to the team, and just getting those running backs that you're confident in early helps as eventually there will be a run. Maybe it's later than most because of where, how many people are in the league, but eventually they will dry up. So I, like to try to get more running backs than not. So Zeke's the pick here. We'll lock him in. After him goes Cam Akers and T. Higgins. So I don't know if Steve's getting a little nervous as running backs are starting to go a bit. I almost want to take Dave Montgomery just to screw you over, but
please don't.
Not going to pass on Kyle Pitts here. Don't get me wrong, Dave Montgomery would be a good third running back to get here, but have not had much Kyle Pitts in mocks, and didn't have him anywhere in redraft or dynasty last year. So be happy to get him here. I think Kittle, Waller kind of make up that next tier, and while they're all good, I think Pitts is the one guy that is going to be the number one target in the offense. Waller usually is, but now with Devontae Adams there, that definitely takes a little bit more away from him, and just don't know what to make of the San Francisco offense. We don't know what the quarterback's going to be. There's a lot of questions there, so I'm going to go Kyle Pitts here, get the tight end early. After him, A.J. Brown and Terry McLaurin. So running back does work its way down to you.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with this. I'm good with James Conner, Montgomery, Gibson, to a lesser, Dobbins to a lesser extent, Hall and Josh Jacobs. So there's plenty of options here for me. In fact, I look and consider rolling the dice because team 2 has 3 running backs. Team 3 and 4 both have 2. The potential exists for somebody to slip through, but I'd imagine I will get burned. I don't think I've had any James Conner shares in our mocks so far. So I think he's going to be my pick. Here is a fun little surprise for you. Well, I don't know if you remember this. I drafted him in our redraft league last year. He was on my championship team.
I was going to say, did you hang on to him the whole year too?
I did not.
Remember.
I did not. So I got to a spot where I needed, I guess it was just bye week hell. I think I had bye week plus COVID. Something hit me and I had to cut someone. And I looked at him, and every week at this point, I swear it was like 50 yards and a touchdown, 50 yards and 2 touchdowns. I was like, it's not going to be sustainable. Soon this is just going to be 50 yards and I'm not going to want him. So I just, and then it never stopped. Which is a shame. I always forget that, but he was my gamble in like the 8th or 9th round or whenever he was going last year. So, I'll grab him again. I am worried that he doesn't repeat.
That's got to be the main worry for him.
Yeah, but, looking at him, Montgomery and Gibson, he's the one set up, in my opinion, for the most success. He has no competition. I mean, not that Gibson and Montgomery have competition. I guess Gibson has McKissick taking, pass catching away. But his offense is far and away better than the other options. So I will lock him in here. I'll be happy with that. And we'll see what gets back to me. Herbert was a bit of a consideration for me. Maybe going with early quarterback here. Hall goes, Kittle, Montgomery, Waddle. That rounds out the 4th. The 5th is Deontay Johnson, Darren Waller, Metcalf, Antonio Gibson, and Josh Jacobs. So fun for me. Dobbins is still here. Elijah Mitchell's still here. Miles Sanders is here. So it's still interesting options at running back. At wide receiver, DJ Moore, Pittman, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. So still some good options here. At tight end, we have Hawkinson, Schultz, Goddard, Ertz. We're out of that first tier. I like Schultz a lot this year. I think I'm going to roll the dice that he gets back to me and he'll be my 6th round pick. You got a tight end. Team 10 has a tight end. I'm thinking team 7 and 8 here. They both have gone quarterback already. So in theory, they should be grabbing more running backs and wide receivers. And imagine maybe one goes tight end, and that should be fine for me to get Schultz. So it comes down to that wide receiver, running back tier. The running backs, I'm good with a handful of them. Again, Dobbins, Mitchell, Sanders. ETN's not a bad gamble. CEH isn't bad. AJ Dillon, Ken Walker, Kareem Hunt, decent options. Hunt's another one I'm starting to fade on a little bit because I'm just getting worried about the quarterback position, You can't catch
Dearness Johnson's back as of now too. So, do they look to move on from him at some point? Get some value back from Kareem?
Yeah, maybe. And, I don't know. Brissett started basically 2 years in Indy, the year that Luck got hurt and then the year that he retired. And I believe Nyheim Hines was there for both years, and he's, everybody likes him for PPR. So I'm assuming Brissett does use the running back in that fashion. But I don't know. Either way, like he would be a running back 4 for me. Like I wouldn't take him now. He'd be looking for 4, and I'm more comfortable there. I think I don't want to wait on another wide receiver. I don't like the Allen Robinson, Godwin kind of tier, but then you start getting to Mike Williams and Brandon Cooks, and we're okay. So I will go back to the running back. I'll grab another one. I will grab J.K. Dobbins. He's another one I haven't had any shares of. Confidence is growing in him a little bit, which is, I don't know why. I haven't heard any reports on him. But I guess that's better than hearing bad reports, or maybe I'm just blind to it all. But all the reasons I like Dobbins in years past still apply now. Good running offense. I'm not super concerned about the people around him, just Gus really. And I think he can be a top option and Gus still get his. So we'll go ahead and lock him in as my third running back here. We'll see if my Schultz gamble plays off. DJ Moore goes off the board, and then Travis Etienne goes off right there, right before your pick.
Yeah, so Dobbins and ETN were the two I was hoping would sneak through here. I really like ETN this year. I think he's going to be in for a big year. And, coming off the injury, I think he's got some kind of post-hype sleeper to him. But alas, they're both gone. Eli Mitchell, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Sanders, Harris. A little bit more of a drop off for me there. So I'm going to pivot here, at least for this first pick, back to receiver. And the options I'm looking at here, Michael Pittman, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, and Cortland Sutton, Chris Godwin. No, I don't think we know for sure when Godwin's going to be healthy. Still no set timeline, it looks like, as of most recent news here, recovering from ACL surgery. So you'd imagine he's probably going to start the year off on either PUP or just not being active as he recovers from a late season there ACL tear. So for me, Hollywood Brown, also someone that's interesting, but for me, the pick here is Pittman, and then likely going with one of the two Denver receivers here on the turn to fill out my receiving core to add to Devontae Adams. So we'll lock in Pittman here first. After him, Lamar Jackson and Amari Cooper. So brings back to Jeudy and Sutton here. I still lean Jeudy. I just love the upside of Jeudy, but I think there's still a very good chance that Sutton could show out second year off of the injury, I think, right? He played last year, but that was the first year back from his...
Correct, yeah.
Torn ACL? It was a leg.
Yeah, it was a leg. I don't remember. I got a feeling it wasn't an ACL. But It was a leg injury, if memory serves.
It was definitely something that ended the season there for him. So we'll see how he bounces back. But he very well could, be the top guy. I like Judy's upside more. I think he's still on the upswing. So we'll see how that works. But Judy's going to be the pick here for me as my third receiver. Still a lot of other guys I like later on here that I can add to the receiving core. But just nice to get that third receiver out of the way here, given that we are starting three in this format. After him, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Cortland Sutton.
That is a shame that Sutton went.
Yeah, I know you've been rising on Sutton.
Yeah, that would have been really nice to have. So here's my problem. I want Schultz. You'll be going to hear that a lot this year.
Yeah, and you got two teams behind you that don't have one.
That's the thing. So 3 teams have tight ends. 2 teams don't.
But you're going to have that problem every single time, because if it comes back around, it's going to be once again, 2 of the 4 teams don't have.
At that point, I don't think I could roll the dice anymore.
Yeah.
But staring down like Mike Williams, that's hard to do. I feel like he is worth the gamble, while later on when I'm debating Adam Thielen or Darnell Mooney or Schultz, it's not going to be worth the gamble anymore. Unless someone sleeps through, Kareem Hunt, Patterson, just looking ahead, AJ Dillon maybe. So I think I will roll the dice again and see if it works out for me. Because Mike Williams is it's really hard to pass up. I'm kind of shaky on him. I was high on him earlier in the year, and I've come down a little bit, just kind of remembering the past years of injury every single year. You hear it a lot when people talk about Debo, and they're like, oh yeah, well, he put it together for 1 year. Every other year he's been plagued by injuries. This very well could be a one-off. And I don't see people really applying that same logic to Mike Williams. And maybe it's because the quarterback position's a lot steadier there, so there's just more confidence in general. So all that to say, I've come down on him a little bit, but 6th round, my wide receiver 3, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to lock him in. We'll roll that dice to see what happens. Elijah Mitchell and Hawkinson goes. Okay, that's not good. Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, and Michael Thomas go. That round out the 6th round. I'm going to cover my screen. I don't want to see this.
He gets there.
I get there. Okay. Joe Burrow starts the 7th round. Miles Sanders, AJ Dillon, Kyler Murray, and Hollywood Brown at the 7:05. I think that's a steal. Like, he was top of the ADP when I was drafting, I think.
Yeah, I was debating him as well, over both of the Denver receivers. So that's a very good pick.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
7th round here.
Still in his purple Ravens shirt.
Yeah. We'll wonder when they'll change that.
For real. So I promise I wouldn't roll the dice anymore. So I'll run through the positions real quick here. At quarterback, we got Jalen Hurts, Russ, Dak, Brady, Rodgers, Stafford. At running back, Damian Harris, Ken Walker, Kareem Hunt, Cordell Patterson. At wide receiver, Brandon Cooks, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Hopkins is here, Thielen, Mooney, Juju, Drake London. And then at tight end, Schultz, Goddard, Ertz, and Knox. So Schultz is my guy. Is there anyone that you are looking to slip through to you here, Will?
Yeah, man, not loving the running backs here. Harris, I guess, would be good. He's the top on the board, but I'm looking more at probably going receiver again here, like a Brandon Cooks, Darnell Mooney would be nice. We'll see what happens from there, but I think there's more value at receiver here, unless Harris slips through there from New England, and I think it's definitely starting to dry up a bit at that position.
Yeah, fair. Well, let's see what happens here. Schultz is in, Amon-Ra goes, and Brandon Cooks. So, looking for him. He is off the board. Maybe that makes Damian Harris a little more attractive.
Yeah, and knowing the team behind me here is 6 picks in with just one running back. If I'm thinking running back, it's got to be with the first pick here. With Harris off the board, I mean, Walker would have been a potential option, between him and Mooney. But I think it's pretty easy here to get Harris just because team here, I only got 2 running backs so far, and it's going to be a pretty long wait after my next pick. So got to get at least one here, and then we can circle back to who's available after that. But don't love the New England backfield. I don't think anyone really ever does. But as of right now, Harris is pretty clearly the 1A. You'd imagine Stevenson's still going to get his as well, and who knows if Brian Robinson, the rookie, or anybody else gets involved too. But to start here, I mean, Harris, good value here at pick 79 here. I guess it'd be 79 or 69. This would be 69 here, coming up on pick 70 here, the end of the 7th round. So we'll lock in Damian Harris. After him, Kenneth Walker and Drake London, as this team definitely needed another running back. Just goes with the one running back, though, interestingly enough. So tight here for me between a couple of guys that I really like here at the receiver position with Darnell Mooney and Rashad Bateman. Devonta Smith there as well. I think I'm going to go Mooney. I think he's pretty clearly the one in an offense that he proved it last year. I think Bateman can definitely step up. Went to Smith as well. But I think Mooney, we saw it last year, and he already kind of has that chemistry built in. So we're going to go Darnell Mooney here as my 4th receiver. Filling out the rest of the lineup there. After him, DeAndre Hopkins and Treylon Burks.
Team 7 here rolling 5 wide receivers in a row.
Yeah.
McLaurin, DJ Moore, Sutton, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Burks. So interesting in that I don't love it. I see the potential. But to think, they could have had McLaurin, Pittman, Sutton, Brandon Cooks. I probably like that more. Whatever. The pick is easy for me. I'm going to go ahead and grab my quarterback and Jalen Hurts. Been grabbing. I don't know if I've actually gotten him in too many mocks. 1 or 2. But pretty high on him this year. I like the spot. Another one that I am coming back on a little bit, just a little worried because I try to remember the offseason of, they wanted Russ. They wanted someone else. And that is just, you didn't see Green Bay wanting someone else.
Yeah. Interesting
So,
thing about him too is this is his first off season since high school that he's had the same play caller.
wow, really?
Yeah, because Alabama runs through him a lot. They get a lot of offensive coordinators moving through, and then he transferred to Oklahoma for his last year, and then he came into Philly with Doug Peterson in the previous regime, and then Nick Sirianni last year is his first time as a play caller. So, you can say what you want about those changes, but something about continuity, could be a benefit for him here.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to hurt. You see that the lack of, consistency destroying some quarterbacks early on. Alex Smith, I will never forget. It was like 5 offensive coordinators in 5 years or something like that. It's very hard to learn in that environment. So that's a good thing for him. So yeah, he should be fine. Rushing, that should provide some sort of baseline for him. He's got no competition, so it's not like if he doesn't perform, there's going to be someone lurking in the shadows waiting to take his job. So Minshew's not there anymore, right? Minshew didn't get a team, I don't think.
No, Minshew's still there. He's still the backup.
Oh, is he still a backup? Okay, cool.
Yeah. They retained him. I think they were fielded some offers for him because he's like on the last year of his deal and really really affordable. But I think they, at this point with the team they built, think that they could make the playoffs, and more valuable to have him here as a backup and just kind of let him walk next year. I'm sure he'll get a starting gig somewhere.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, then I guess Hurts doesn't have a nobody behind him. If he does really actually come out and suck, I could see them turning to Minshew. But still, you gotta be pretty bad for them to, I think, want to pull the trigger there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just lock him in there, get my quarterback out of the way. Juju goes off the board, 806. There goes Kareem Hunt finally. Adam Thielen, Tom Brady, Devin Singletary. That rounds out the 8th round. Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, Russell Wilson, Gabe Davis, and Devonta Smith goes off the board. That would have been real nice for me there. Man, that's a shame. So we'll take a look. I got my tight end, my quarterback, so I'm not worried about those other positions anymore. Cordarrelle Patterson is still on the board. Tony Pollard, Chase Edmonds, James Cook, Rashad Penny. At wide receiver, we got Garrett Wilson, Hunter Renfrow, Tyler Lockett, Brandon Ayuk, Chris Olave, Robert Woods. I think wide receiver is where I'm going to turn. At wide receiver, I'd like some options there. Chase Edmonds is a fine gamble. Pollard is solid. Penny, Melvin Gordon, good, options to roll the dice on. So similar to position to where I wasn't before, I'll just grab whatever running back gets through to me, provided Team 7 here doesn't just grab 2 of them. Definitely a possibility. And then I'll grab a wide receiver and I'll take a shot on, I think, Ayuk. I'm staring down Chris Olave, actually, as being a pretty good option, a rookie that could break out because there's just no other options available to him. Jameis Winston, we know, can chuck the ball. Ayuk is just, he's more of a roll of the dice. He's kind of worrisome because of that 49ers offense. Can it support 3 guys, Debo, Kittle, and him? That's a lot for a guy that is assuming not going to be throwing the ball a lot. But I like Ayuk this year. I like his ADP, but I think I've kind of talked myself out of him. I'm going to go with Chris Olave here. I'm confident in my wide receiver grouping, and that I could wait, half a season or whatever I need to for, the rookie to take off. Usually takes him a little bit of time. So we'll lock him in there. We'll see what more wide receiver depth that we can add. Goddard goes off the board right after me, and then Patterson right before you.
Yeah, Patterson would have been a nice one. He's the one that I was looking at there. I think one of the last few guys remaining that's pretty clearly the one. So after that, running back options, really just Chase Edmonds in Miami or Melvin Gordon in Denver. And Team 10 behind me still needs a running back, so I think running back will be the move there. Receivers, be looking at Tyler Lockett, Robert Woods, but there are still quite a few options available there. And I've already got 4, so I've got some flexibility there. So I think I'm going to go running back, possibly 2, and wait here one more round through and gamble here to see if anybody goes with the second quarterback. But my first pick here going to be Chase Edmonds, locking him in Miami. After him, Garrett Wilson and Tyler Lockett. So Team 10 is just really going with the 0 RB, or I guess you could say 1 RB with Cam Akers early on, Ken Walker mid rounds. So I'm going to go with another running back here, and then, gives me some flexibility to not need to jump back on there for a while because it does get pretty icky pretty quickly. So I'm going to go with Melvin. I want to get some stability here at the position. Chase Edmonds, I think, is a good upshot, whereas Melvin is, a good RB3 probably for a fantasy team, depending on how the splits, maybe a 4, but I think he should be 60-40 split there in Denver. And if the offense is as high octane as I think a lot of people imagine they could be, I think it's a really good fit for him to be there. And they have no reason not to just run him into the ground. If you think about it, I mean, he's not going to be on the team next year. So why run too much there at, with Javonte Williams when he's the future. So going to be locking in Melvin Gordon here, getting my 5th running back on the team. After him, Hunter Renfrow and Tony Pollard.
Solid. So my gamble has paid off just barely. Penny is one of the guys that I liked. Not super sold on him, but obviously had a really good, second half of the year last year. He's got every opportunity to be the guy. Kind of concerned about Ken Walker's ADP flying up. Typically when it comes down to 2 guys like that, the fantasy community gets it right, and the guy with the higher ADP does end up being the better option. But I don't know. I just, looking at my want and probably need for some running back depth. I got Swift, Connor, and Dobbins, some solid options, but we're in a 10th round. I really should be adding a 4th. James Cook could be good. Buffalo is clearly looking for a pass catcher, but that doesn't mean they're going to use him to the point where they're fantasy relevant. Michael Carter's not a bad pick. I think he'll probably be fine for at least half a season. Stevenson's not bad. James Robinson, Isaiah Spiller, no. It really starts falling off. Penny is the last guy that I'm kind of comfortable with. I'm not comfortable with him, but I'm more comfortable than his other options. There's a tier break there for me. So we'll go ahead and lock him in. We'll see what running or wide receivers get back to me after that. Add some depth there. Zach Ertz goes off the board after that. Ayuk finally going there. Crazy, considering he was a consideration for me a full round earlier. Michael Carter, James Cook, Dak Prescott rounds out the 10th. Dawson Knox, Aaron Rodgers, Gesicki, Stafford, and Robert Woods. That's a shame. He probably
Woods would have been a good one there for you.
Yeah, that would have been real nice. I do have a good depth play here, though. So wide receivers, we got Claypool, we got Christian Watson, we got Christian Kirk, we have Alan Lazard, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney. So you have some good. If I didn't take Olave, I have some good young options if I want to take a shot on Claypool or Watson or Kirk or Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, someone like that. But I grabbed Olave, so I want a nice, solid depth play that I could trust, and that is Alan Lazard. And comes with upside. I don't think he's going to be a wide receiver 1 or anything this year, but if he is the one in Green Bay, that wouldn't surprise me. And if that turns into him being like a wide receiver 2 on the year, that wouldn't surprise me either. So I like Lazard. At the very least, I think he's just going to be a solid kind of flex play for me. And that's what I need to tag team with that Olave pick. So very easy for me there. We'll go ahead and lock him in. Freiermuth goes off the board right after me. Christian Watson goes off the board right before your pick. Will, I believe you are the sole person looking for a quarterback.
Yeah, a couple teams went with their second ones, which I was kind of worried about. And very likely that it could happen in some home leagues where teams do like to draft 2. But, Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray and Matt Stafford. You can only use one of those guys, so I don't know how frequent that happens. Maybe if 1 or 2 guys go. But alas, that's the risk you run when you try to wait on the position a little longer. no one really sticks out that much. I guess Derek Carr probably would be the top guy for me, but not enough. Here I'm going to see. You got him. I've got Claypool, Sky Moore, um, James Robinson. Yeah, no one really that is super thrilling. Claypool, I guess you could argue, but I don't just love the overall offense there. We'll see how the rookies or how the young quarterbacks they have turn out. So I'll just lock in my guy here in Derek Carr to start. When you had to wait, not being able to get Rodgers, Prescott, or Stafford is tough. But Carr's solid, and I do get to pair him up with Devontae Adams, so it's nice to have that stack this late. And if, that Raiders team is going to be as good as some people think, it's going to be because Derek Carr can really manage this team and get all the weapons involved. So not the top guy I was hoping for when waiting for a quarterback, but the guy that I'm more than okay to settle on here in the 11th round in a situation where a lot of teams did double up on quarterback. And that does give me the flexibility here to get some more depth at the receiver position. And I'm going to go with a guy that I surprised you did not take. I thought you would be getting him instead of Alan Lazard, but you leave him here for me. I guess that's probably because you have his teammate and Mr. Evans there, but it's Russell Gage, Tampa. I think he's just steady. He's always been, a good receiver there in Atlanta. But I think Tom Brady went out of his way to want to get him on the team. And with Chris Godwin hurt for the beginning of the year in all likelihood, it really looks like Gage is going to be the guy here to fill in as that second option, especially with no Gronk as far as we can tell right now. So going to get my fifth receiver here, keep some balance on the team with Russell Gage. After him, Ramondre Stevenson and Sky Moore.
That's a shame. I liked Stevenson here. I thought that was going to be a pretty good pick for me, but alas, it is not to be. So looking back at the wide receiver position, running back is pretty slim, which you could say from now until the end of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at, Ronald Jones, Alexander Mattison, Dameon Pierce, maybe, Rashad White, Tyler Algier. There's some Kenneth Gainwell. There's some options I could wait another round for. Wow, Mostert's still down here. So I'm okay waiting. Some wide receivers, though. Christian Kirk seems interesting. A good opportunity to be a 1. Kadarius Toney, he's here. Like him as well. If you want to take a dart throw on like an MVS or Galladay, something like that, that's fine too. But really, it comes down to Kirk and Toney. And it's a matter of, do you want safety? I'm assuming we consider Kirk safe. He's going to be the one on that team. A team is
he should at least get the volume, right?
Yeah, there should be good volume plays. I'm assuming he'd be pretty safe. Or that upside boom shot of Kadarius Toney. Been doing that a lot this year, and I think I will continue it. I want another boom shot. It just feel if I didn't grab Lazard with the last pick, like say I went with a Stevenson there, I'd be grabbing Kirk now. But going Lazard and Kirk back to back just feels blah. Like it feels fine from like a depth standpoint. If I went really running back heavy early on and I needed to fill out my roster, like they'd be fine flex plays. I just don't want them back to back in my situation. It feels too average. So I'm gonna go with Kadarius Toney. Hope for a little boom. Maybe Kirk gets back to me. We'll see. I wouldn't. Nope, he doesn't. I would have hated it. But Ronald Jones goes off the board. Claypool, Kirk, Gallup, and Spiller rounds out the 12th. 13th round here, we got Boyd, Jameson Williams, James Robinson, Mattson, and Hunter Henry. So back on the board, or back on the clock, wide receiver. If we want to take a shot on MVS, he's here. Jarvis Landry, Kenny Galladay, Rondale Moore, not a bad option. Dotson, Jacoby Myers, George Pickens, Tim Patrick, a lot of people like. Devontae Parker, I like. Mecole Hardman, if he's another one you want to take a shot on. At the running back position, we got Dameon Pierce, Naeem Hines, Rashad White, Darrell Henderson, Tyler Algier, Mack, Kenneth Gainwell. I think Dameon Pierce is the guy I want here. Get some more running back depth, potential starter for the bad team, but that is it's kind of what you're dealing with. If you're looking at starters, you're looking at him. Mack is probably his competition. Tyler Gayer. I mean, you're not going to get a starter with a good team. Maybe Mostert. And I don't think he's ever going to be the starter, but he could be a 1B kind of an option. On probably the best offense of them all, Miami, I would assume. But yeah, we're going to lock in Dameon Pierce, get some running back depth here. We'll see what gets back to me. Kirk Cousins goes off the board, and his tight end, Irv Smith, right before you.
All right, so still looking at just getting some depth here at running back and receiver. One guy that sticks out to me, I mean, as you mentioned, Algier, he's an interesting option. But one guy I think that is going to have some use that is still on the board and pretty late. I'm surprised that he's still available is Kenny Gainwell. I know you have taken him in, I think, a couple of our mock drafts here this offseason. But I think he's going to get some use. I think the team wants to, they're likely going to throw the ball more than they did last year with the amount of rushing that they did and the weapons that they've added. But I do think they want to keep Kenny Gainwell involved. And this late, you can take a shot on a guy and see if he can hit. That's what you're looking at. I mean, you have your Algier, Gainwell. I mean, this is where I wouldn't mind taking a shot on like Gus Edwards, Khalil Herbert, Daryl Williams in Arizona. Just as guys that are, if the starter goes down, that there's a good chance, if not guaranteed, to be the guy. But I think Gainwell has value either way. So we're going to lock in Gainwell here first. After him, Naeem Hines and Rachaad White. Not a ton of receivers that I love, and I almost would rather load up on running back options than receiver options. So we're going to pass on receiver for now. A couple of later guys I think will probably still be there in the next round if I want to take a shot on one. But just looking at the running backs, Algier's interesting. Khalil Herbert, I think, is one of the more interesting ones because I think he, of the list, is the guy that is guaranteed to be the guy if his starter goes down. We saw it last year. He played well in the few games that he was the sole back. I believe that was, let's see, how many games did he get in there? Yes, I mean, he had a couple of really good games. Looks like 2 games where he had like the full workload, but coupled around that, some other just solid games. But 19 points and 18 points in his 2 games where he was the sole starter. So I think he's probably the option here. You're taking a shot late on a guy like him. But actually, as I look further down, Gus Edwards, Mark Ingram, some other guys that I think have a shot there. I think here I'll probably actually pivot to a Tyler Algier, guy that I think has a shot to take the job without an injury, and then maybe take a shot on one of these other running backs that could rely more on the injury with a few picks left here. So I'm going to go with another running back and Tyler Algier. After him, Albert O. and Darnell Henderson.
Okay, that is fair. A similar boat to you. Do like some of the running backs here. McKissick ain't bad. Mostert I caught up before. You mentioned Gus, Ingram. So some interesting options. I'm going to roll the dice that one of them gets back to me.
And that's Daryl Henderson. I think the fantasy footballers there got me on the Darnell Henderson train.
Oh, yes. Oh, wow, I forgot about that. But yes, you are right. So I'm looking at the wide receiver position again, like you, not in love with the options. MVS, Landry, Galladay, Ronell Moore, Dotson, Jacoby Myers, Pickens, Tim Patrick, Devontae Parker, Mecole Hardman. I think I'll go ahead and take my shot on a Kansas City guy, throw a dart, and see if I land the right option. And I'm going to throw the dart at MVS here. The guy that get paid, normally, I'm not as high on wide receivers going to new positions or new teams. It tends to have a kind of a rough first year, which would leave itself to Mecole Hardman I just haven't seen enough out of Hardman this year, and them bringing in two guys, even though they lost two guys, and it makes perfect sense. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me. I haven't seen enough from him, and not that I've seen a ton from MVS either. He likes to drop the ball, but he got some money, so we'll throw our dart that way. Deshaun Watson finally goes there, 1406. Kenny Galladay, Landry, Moore, Marlon Mack round out the fourth round. McKissick, Gronk is still going for some reason. Tua, Jacoby Myers, and there's Khalil Herbert going off the board, 15.
ADP tells you people think Gronk's coming back.
Yeah, for real. So this is easy for me. Mostert's still on the board. Again, I don't think he's going to be a starter, but I could see him being fantasy relevant. Coach knows how to use him. And I don't know if Chase is going to be the guy that just handles a full workload. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in as a nice depth of running back there. Darrell Williams goes off the board. Trevor Lawrence, you are back on the clock.
Yeah, Darrell's another interesting one there. So for me, it comes down to 3 players that I still got left in my queue of guys that I think could have some value. I still don't know a ton about this rookie there, Tyrion Davis-Price. Have you heard anything at a mini camp or anything from him? Because obviously the landing spot isn't the worst. San Francisco does like to use young running backs.
They do. I haven't heard a lot out of him. He fits that same kind of mold that Trey Sermon does from like a size and speed standpoint. So it does look like something that San Francisco wants. Like they want someone of that caliber. It's just a matter of finding them. But as far as like how he's been doing in camp, I haven't heard anything.
Nah, not much. Well, I think that's going to be the move here for me. I've got 5 receivers, and I'm pretty confident in the grouping there. I think I can get another depth play, but I want to take some more running back shots here. So the first one is going to be on Gus Edwards out of Baltimore. A little surprised he's still there. I know he's coming off of an injury as well. They pick up Mike Davis, but I just still think that he should be going higher than this. And obviously it depends on if he is going to be healthy for the beginning of the year or not. But if he's healthy, I think he's at the very least, in flex consideration with the amount of rushing that team does. And, I think he's definitely the number 2 to the 2 Dobbins there. So we'll Gus first here. Lock him in. After him goes Tyrion Davis-Price and Jamal Williams. So down to my last 2 options, we've got Mark Ingram, who I think should have a good start to the year with the anticipation that we're going to have a suspended Alvin Kamara. And the other option here is a guy I think you and I both like, in KJ Osborne, young receiver in Minnesota. And I think we probably will see an uptick in him. There's a lot of reports around Minnesota that they're going to be passing the ball more often, running the ball less often. So maybe get a more high-octane passing offense. Could be the year we see KJ, kind of step past Adam Thielen a little bit. So I kind of like the upside there for him, and the potential to be used early. But I do think he's someone that probably goes undrafted, whereas I think Mark Ingram is someone that could be pretty valuable for you, especially for the first 4 to 6 weeks if he ends up being the guy there in New Orleans without Kamara. And I think maybe he has some trade value too if the Kamara owner is interested. I think it's probably one of the few handcuffs you have to have if you do take Kamara. I might take a Mark Ingram a round or 2 earlier just because you lock down having that running back position before Kamara gets back. So I'm going to go Mark Ingram here and really go RB heavy on this team. After him, Brian Robinson and Chuba Hubbard.
So Ingram was actually going to be my pick.
Oh, you're welcome. It's always nice to steal a pick.
I know, for real. Sniped in the last round. Reason being, I just had Dobbins and thought, if he gets off to a slow start, then, having Ingram there for whatever, 4 or 6 weeks or something like that wouldn't hurt. So instead, I'm going to do something kind of dumb.
Quarterback too?
No, not quarterback. Who are the quarterbacks available? Is there anyone worth Fields, Ryan, Winston? Yeah, no, I'll pass. So normally in a normal draft, we got Tim Patrick here. that would be a solid pick. Devontae Parker, I've drafted before. Mecole Hardman, if you want to, take your dart throw there. I'm going to do something dumb because I started scrolling down looking where KJ Osborne was.
Yeah.
Found Curtis Samuel down there, how he has fallen. Sammy Watkins.
Names.
Yeah, Sammy Watkins, Robbie Anderson. And then I landed, Marvin Jones is down here. But anyway, I landed on Julio Jones.
Oh.
Some rumors coming out this week about, him potentially landing in Green Bay. And I think he is done. Done. This is a Andre Johnson has gone to a new team and just completely disappeared kind of done. I think he's done. But if he's not, and he goes to Green Bay, maybe I get a wide receiver 3 years on. No, absolutely not. But maybe he could end up in a worse situation. That's for sure.
And if he, doesn't sign anywhere, you get a free roster spot to start the year.
Exactly. And plenty of other options that I like that I could grab up. So it's dumb. Would I do it in a normal draft? Probably not. But for the mock, I'll go and lock in Mr. Julio Jones there. Zamir White goes off the board. Noah Fant, Devontae Foreman, Dotson, and the other Ingram over there in Arizona goes off the board. So that wraps up the mock. Running down my team first, again from the 106, quarterback Jalen Hurts. At running back, we got DeAndre Swift, Connor, Dobbins, Rashad Penny, Dameon Pierce, and Mostert. At wide receiver, Kupp, Evans, Mike Williams, Chris Olave, Lazard, Kadarius Toney, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, MVS, and Julio. And then at the tight end position, Dalton Schultz. What's your team looking like?
Yeah, so slightly different makeup here. Definitely went more RB heavy than you went there, wide receiver heavy. So quarterback, Derek Carr. Running back, Joe Mixon, Ezekiel Elliott, Damian Harris, Chase Edmonds, Melvin Gordon, Kenneth Gainwell, Tyler Algier, Gus Edwards, and Mark Ingram. So definitely loaded up there at the running back position. Might have been the heaviest I've taken, 9 running backs in the draft. At wide receiver, we've got Devontae Adams, Michael Pittman, Jerry Jeudy, Darnell Mooney, and Russell Gage. And then Kyle Pitts at tight end.
So what do you think of your team?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, definitely loaded up on running back, right? You're not going to carry all 9 of those throughout the season. But if I can have the top 5 and let's say, Gainwell, Algier, Gus Edwards, Mark Ingram, and 2 of them pops, then I've got some really good depth. So out of these 9, I'm probably hoping that 5 or 6 of them, are usable. And you're banking on the top 2 obviously being pretty usable, but a lot of depth there that gives me some really trade flexibility if I can get 5 or 6 of them to hit. And I'm pretty happy with my receiving core, having only taken that many and loading up on running back. I mean, Adams is locked in. I really think Pittman takes a jump this year with Matt Ryan. And then I just need, Jerry Jeudy or Darnell Mooney to hit, and I've got the receiving core itself in, and then Russell Gage and the other one can kind of compete there for the flex spot. And like I said, I'll likely be picking up a receiver or 2 at some point after 1 or 2 of these running backs don't hit. So definitely gives me some flexibility, but I'd rather go into the season with more running backs so that you have that guy before you have to spend up on him in free agency.
Yeah, and it makes sense because you only went 2 running backs in the first 6 rounds. So It makes sense you take, throw as many darts as you can at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely an abnormal strategy for both of us. But yeah, I think it worked out. On my side, I am a little nervous, staring down James Conner and Dobbins together as my RB2 and 3, and then having Penny, Pierce as depth plays. That's worrisome. But at the same time, if Connor is what he was last year and Dobbins can return to form, then it's going to be an amazing team.
Mm-hmm.
The wide receiver group is very strong. Kupp, Evans, or Mike Williams, and then Olave, Lazard, Toney. I like that wide receiver group. I'm happy with Schultz. I'm happy with Hurts. It's just staring down Connor and Dobbins. If we could swap, I might swap Connor with David Montgomery. If Zeke could have fallen, I might be a little more happy. Just two concerns around those two people, and two people that I haven't really drafted this year, and it's probably wise because they both scare me a bit. So naturally, I'm going to be nervous about it. But
yeah, you get two like good upside guys in Connors and Dobbins, but scary floors. Like if you would have known you were going to get Dobbins, you probably would have gone Montgomery and have that safe RB2 and then high upside third running back on your team. But obviously, you probably would have imagined that Dobbins would have went before you there in the fifth round.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting to get back to me. I think I was probably thinking I would end up with like Pittman in that one, or maybe forcing my hand with Elijah Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but it is what it is. You can't predict the future, and that's just it's just the love of the draft.
Yeah.
But overall, I say all that, I'm happy with the team. I do like it. So yeah, it's pretty solid. So next week, Will, didn't we say we were going to do something in the beginning of the draft?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about a 14-teamer, since they do seem to be pretty helpful.
Pretty popular. Yeah, so we'll remember that. So next week, tune in for a 14-team mock draft. Until then, folks, thanks for listening and trust your board.